Let's see what are the properties of multiplication in this video. So the first property is commutative property of multiplication. So what does this property says? It says when the two numbers are multiplied together, the answer will be the same even though the order in which they are being multiplied together is changed. So let's understand this with an example. Let's take two numbers 4 and 5. Now let's multiply these two numbers. So 4 times 5 is 20. Now according to this property, when two numbers are multiplied together, the answer will be the same even though the order in which they are being multiplied together is changed. Now what does that mean? That means even though we change the order of these two numbers, means if we put 5 in the place of 4 and 4 in the place of 5, we should get the same answer 20. So let's check this. So 5 goes in the place of 4, so 5 will come first, and 4 goes in the place of 5, so 4 comes next. Now let's multiply them. So 5 times 4 is 20. So we got the same answer 20. So this is the commutative property of multiplication. That means even though we change the order of the two numbers which are multiplied together, we should get the same answer. Let's see what is the second property of multiplication. It is the associative property of multiplication. So let's see what does it says. It says when more than two numbers are multiplied together, the answer will be the same even though the order in which they are being multiplied together is changed. Now this property is kind of same as the commutative property of multiplication. But here we have more than two numbers which are multiplied together. So let's take three numbers 4, 3 and 5. Now as this property says, when more than two numbers are multiplied together, the answer will be the same even though the order in which they are being multiplied together is changed. Further it says the number in the multiplication expression can be regrouped using brackets or parentheses. So let's multiply these three numbers. And we will group 4 and 3 inside the bracket. That means we will multiply 4 and 3 first. So we will get 4 times 3 is 12 multiplied by 5. So 12 times 5 is 60. So we got the answer 60. So according to this property, even though we change the order in which these numbers are multiplied together, we should get the same answer 60. So let's check if it is true. So let's take the same three numbers 4 times 3 times 5, but this time we will group 3 and 5 together inside the bracket. That means we will multiply 3 and 5 first. So let's see what answer we get. So 4 multiplied by 3 times 5 is 15, which will give us 60. So again we got the same answer 60. Therefore we can say even though the order in which more than three numbers are multiplied together is changed, we should get the same answer. So this is our associative property of multiplication. Now the third property of multiplication is distributive property of multiplication over addition. So let's see what does this property says. It says the sum of two numbers inside the bracket when multiplied with the third number gives the same answer as multiplying each number inside the bracket with the third number first and then adding the two products. Okay, so now this is a long statement. So let's break these statements in parts to understand it better. So it says the sum of two numbers inside the bracket when multiplied with the third number. So this is our first part of the statement. This is our first part. Gives the same answer as multiplying each number inside the bracket with the third number first and then adding the two products. So this is our second part of the statement. So this is our second part. Now let's express these two parts of the statement with an example. So the first part says the sum of two numbers inside the bracket when multiplied with the third number. So let's say the sum of two numbers is 4 plus 5 inside the bracket. When multiplied with the third number, so let's say the third number is 2 and we have to multiply the sum of 4 and 5 to 2. So according to the first part of our statement, this is what we got. The sum of two numbers multiplied with the third number. Okay, next it says gives the same answer as. So for the time being, let's forget this part of the statement and let's read the next part. So it says multiplying each number inside the bracket with the third number first. So what does that mean? That means we have to multiply each number inside the bracket, that is 4 and 5, with 2 first. That means we will multiply 2 to 4 and 2 to 5 separately. So what we will get? We will get 2 times 4 and 2 times 5. So that means we are multiplying 4 and 5 separately by 2. So next it says, and then adding the two products. So that means we have to add the two products. So now let's go back to our statement once again. So it says the sum of two numbers inside the bracket when multiplied with the third number. So that is our first part of the statement. Gives the same answer as, means it should be equal to multiplying each number inside the bracket with the third number first and then adding the two products, which is the second part of our statement, which is this. So according to the distributive property of multiplication, the answer for 2 times 4 plus 5 should be equal to 2 times 4 plus 2 times 5. So this is what our distributive property says. So now let's check to see if it is true. So let's find out the answer for the first part of our statement. So it is 2 times 4 plus 5, which will give us 2 times 4 plus 5 is 9. That is 2 times 9 is 18. So the answer for the first part of our statement is 18. Now let's check what is the answer for the second part of our statement. So 2 times 4 is 8 plus 2 times 5 is 10. So we will get 8 plus 10 is 18. Therefore, the answer for the second part of our statement is also 18. That means 2 times 4 plus 5 is equal to 2 times 4 plus 2 times 5. Hence, we can say that our distributive property of multiplication is correct. Let's move on to the next property of multiplication, which is the distributive property of multiplication over subtraction. So what does this property says? It says the difference between two numbers inside the bracket when multiplied with the third number gives the same answer as multiplying each number inside the bracket with the third number first and then subtracting the two products. Now this property is kind of same as the distributive property of multiplication over addition. But here we have subtraction. So what do you think how we can express this property with an example in the same way as we did for the distributive property of multiplication over addition? So just pause the video and think how we can express this property. Okay, so it says the difference between two numbers inside the bracket when multiplied with the third number. Let's take the difference between two numbers inside the bracket as 5 minus 1 and multiplied with the third number. So let's take the third number as 3 and we are going to multiply the difference between 5 minus 1 by 3. Gives the same answer as, that means the answer for this expression should be equal to multiplying each number inside the bracket with the third number first. So that means we are going to multiply each number inside the bracket with the third number, that is 3. So we will multiply 3 to 5 and 3 to 1 separately. Therefore, we will get 3 times 5 and 3 times 1. Next it says, and then subtracting the two products. So we have to do the subtraction between these two products. So this is what our distributive property of multiplication over subtraction says. So once again, I would encourage you to pause the video and check whether the answer for the left hand side expression is same as the answer for the right hand side expression. Let's find out the answer for the left hand side expression. So as 5 minus 1 is inside the bracket, so we will solve it first. So we will get 3 times 5 minus 1 is 4, which will give us 3 times 4 is 12. Now let's find out the answer for the right hand side expression. So 3 times 5 is 15 minus 3 times 1 is 3, which will give us 15 minus 3 is 12. So the answer for the left hand side expression, that is 3 times 5 minus 1 is 12, and the answer for the right hand side expression, that is 3 times 5 minus 3 times 1 is also 12. Therefore, we can say these both the expressions are equal. Hence, our distributive property of multiplication over subtraction is also correct.